Hi, so today we will talk about 6.2 exercise grouping. So now, first of all, we need to merge two groups together and then try to factor their common factor. So let's try it. Let's try put these two in a group and these two in another group. Okay, from the first group, we have 14r to the cube minus 8r to the square. So what do they have in common for the first group? Well, 40 and 8, we know that they have 8 in common. They can both factor the 8 out. And then r cubed and then r squared, they have r squared in common. So I factor r squared out. So I have 5r minus 1. Okay, so for the second one, we have what? Negative 25 and the positive 5. We know that, hey, we have common 5. We factor the 5r. So do they have any other commons? No. For the coefficient, right? One has 1r, the other doesn't have r. So what's left is negative. Don't forget the negative sign. That's really important. Negative r plus 1, because 5 divided by 5 is 1. So if we compare to these two, you might notice that, hey, they look quite similar except for the signs. The sign, they're opposite. In that case, what do? You pull out a negative 1, right? Once you pull out the negative 1, they will have a common sign. So instead of plus 5, we pull out negative 1. So plus 5 times a negative 1, we have a negative 5. And then since you pull out the negative sign, we have 5r left and minus 1. Okay, so now take a look. What do they have in common? They have the two parentheses in common. So that means I can pull these out. I have 5r minus 1 times what's left? 8r squared and minus 5. That's how you factor it. Okay, now let's do another one. Number 2. Okay, please try to do it. Pause the video and try to do it by yourself. Okay, for me, probably it's the same trick. Well, we are going to try out. So I want to factor these two and these two, connecting by the plus sign. Okay, so 3n to the cube minus 2n, what's the common factor? Only n squared, right? Because the coefficient, which is 3 and negative 2, they're relatively prime to each other. So I have 3n minus 2, and then plus negative 9 and 6. Common factor would be 3. So I have negative 3n plus 2 left. Oh, this is the same. So what do? If you see inside the parentheses, everything looks quite similar except for the sign, they're opposite to each other. What you do is you pull out the negative 1. So I have n squared, 3n minus 2. When I pull out the negative 1, I have negative 3, 3n minus 2. Now they have a common factor, 3n minus 2 and 3n minus 2. So I have 3n minus 2. What's left? N squared and negative 3. Don't forget the negative sign. Very good. So now let's do another one. Number 3. Let's have this one. Okay, so let's try it. This might work, might doesn't work. Okay, the first two we group it, and then the last two we group it. Okay, from the first two, we have a 24, 25, xy, and y squared. So what do they have in common? They only have one thing in common, which is y, because the coefficient 24 and 25, they are relatively prime to each other. So for y, 24x plus 25y. And now the second one, we have a negative 20x and then negative 13y squared, y to the cube. And now we pull it out. We have negative 10 in common. So we pull out the negative 10. So I have a 2x plus, because you use negative 13 divided by negative 10, so you have a positive number. To the right. Okay, so this doesn't look like they have a common factor inside the parenthesis. What would you do? That means the way that you group these terms, maybe it's not the best way to group it. So now we try another way to group it. So we have 24xy plus 25y squared minus 20x minus 13y to the cube. So now I'm going to try to group it just with, see if they have a common letters. What about I group this one, and then the other two, they group it just like by the color. So I have a 24xy minus 20x, one group. The other group would be 25y squared minus 13y to the cube. Okay, so let's try if that's work out. If it doesn't work, we try another way. So now 24 and 20, common factor would be 6, no, not 6, I'm sorry, it should be 4, and also x. So what's left is 6y minus 5, plus 25, 30, common would be 5. And the y squared and the y to the cube, we have a common factor of y squared. So I have 5 left minus 6y. Ooh, almost the same. So now take a look. We have a 6y minus 5. We have a 5 minus 6y. They're the same, but with opposite sign. What you would do is you change the sign by pull out a negative sign. Pull out the negative one. So I have negative 5 plus 6y. So now they're the same. Okay, maybe the order is not the same, but you know that they are the same. Because negative 5, 6y, positive 6y, they're the same. You can write it, you can rewrite it as the order that you feel more comfortable, which is 6y minus 5. So the left is 4x minus 5y squared. Okay, so that's it for this exercise. Let me know if you have more questions. See you next time.